Hello and welcome to Decentralized Health Administration at the Eureka channel. We bring you critical technical knowledge about creating perfect conditions for much needed revolution in health industry. Under these new conditions, universal health access will be possible. Everyone in the world, including you and your loved ones, will have access to the best health services available. Health for everyone will be of highest quality there is in the world, and it will be affordable by all. So I come to you from your breakup project located at 1.4 degrees south of equator and 37 degrees east of the central meridian. That's marked right in the southwest suburbs of Nairobi. Today I have great things to discuss with you. We discuss about DIAL program. DIAL program is the Deep Immersion Action Learning. D for deep, I for immersion, A for action, and L for learning. Now, remember we talked about this yesterday and the day before that because it's a new program we have introduced at Eureka for 2020 and of course going forward. And this is 6 weeks deep experiential learning for overseas students, whether they're undergraduates, graduates in master's degrees, or PhD students. But we're also admitting people who are not students, people who are in practice. It doesn't matter your area of practice. You could be practice in medicine, you could be in finance, you could be in molecular biology, whatever you are doing. Come to Nairobi and we have a big party. Okay, this deep immersion is about experiencing how things work about in the frontier market. The frontier market. Kenya is your frontier market. Of course, it's an epitome of frontier. Of course, it's an epicenter of activities that are basically in the frontier of the global economy. As we said yesterday, the global economy is at a crossroads. Is it a crossroads? Yeah, where what used to be known as bottom of the pyramid is rising up to the pyramid top, and the what is driving that rising or uprising of the bottom market is information technology. And you see, information technology has given us very fantastic things. The final fantastic thing we have got from information technology is known as blockchain, and blockchain gives us the true freedom of money. Blockchain is a technology that is separating money from the government. So we are not going here in the future. Of course, there's going to be much resistance from the government itself, but the key is that money is coming away from the government very quickly, and of course money is coming away from central structure, centralizations, and of course knowledge itself is coming out. Knowledge is coming out from the ground, from the bottom of the pyramid. Over the last century, the 20th century, the 19th century before it, and even the 18th century and 17th century, knowledge has been confined to institutions, whether they are learning institutions like schools or companies, big companies. They keep a lot of knowledge, and this is what Stuart Hart around 2005 was thinking, that companies should share their knowledge with people in the world. But then that's not it. But that is this driven by Smithian economy. That is the Adam Smith 1776, and those are economics of order. Economics of order that have hoodwinked companies to believe that they are the ones who have all the knowledge, and then knowledge, if anyone wants knowledge, they have to climb up the companies. Of course, we have these centralized, very big corporations, central big corporations that have ruled the world, and those corporations are coming to an end. So if you're interested in business in the future, not or entrepreneurship, you need to know different economies now running the world. That's the economics of disorder, disequilibriums, the economics of information science. And the science of information is based on the theories of probability theories. Of course, these things were cleared to us by none other than our German computer scientist known as Claude Shannon in 1948, when he wrote a paper known as the mathematical theory of communication. All right, let's now see what is going to happen in the future. And the program we are offering you here will help you very well to to understand the future itself, the future of economics, and the economics that are not the classical economics or what they call the Keynesian economics or whoever else they want to call, but this is the economics of probability. And I was telling you yesterday, the probability here is about knowledge coming from anywhere, everywhere in the world. That we as human beings, we have equal likelihood of creating knowledge, equal likelihood of creating knowledge, equal likelihood of creating enterprises that are big, big and global. We don't have to wait for someone from the West to come and create an enterprise for us. We need to activate the knowledge. And I told you that in the information economy, the information economy works like the DNA, how the DNA makes proteins in your body. We say that DNA works proteins following something called the central dogma of molecular biology. And central dogma of molecular biology, so that you may understand it very well, it goes like this. DNA is packed with all the information. Your DNA has all the information about you, including the ones that are not activated yet. So it has so much information that if we activated the whole DNA, you would become a giant, something, something like a monster. But because DNA is not activated at the same time, you don't become a giant or a monster or something like that. DNA is activated at a particular time just when you need something. It is triggered. So DNA is triggered at a very particular moment. And when it is triggered, it wakes up. And then it transcribes a short message, like a code. It's known as messenger RNA. It transcribes a short message. When it transcribes that short message, then that short message is translated into material products like proteins. So, for example, you just ate a piece of ugali. The the ugali molecule, well, ugali has got starch. The starch molecules in ugali send messages to your body, and they trigger something. They trigger the DNA to produce a code for creating insulin. Insulin is an enzyme that no, is it a hormonal enzyme? Yeah, it's insulin is a hormone that regulates what blood sugar. So that your blood sugar doesn't go out of control, a message is sent from your DNA, and then it's sent to your DNA, which just activates the DNA. DNA creates a messenger code, short message known as messenger RNA, and then that message is then translated into insulin. Can you believe it? It's a very, very elegant model. Guess what? The economy of the future is going to be that way, where we go to a place, maybe in a village or maybe to a university, we trigger the knowledge there, and then that knowledge is codified into information, and then that information is translated into a material product. Let me give you an example. We have a company called Uber. Uber is a trigger company. Uber triggers knowledge about driving. So Uber does not teach you about driving. It knows that you have already knowledge about driving, and then say all that knowledge is packed inside you. It triggers your knowledge, and then you get that knowledge becomes information that now you can tell people you drive, right? But that's telling people is not enough. Uber allocates your car, and when somebody calls you, you make a trip to call that person, and that person, you transport the person to some other part of the city. That is known as a trip. That trip is a material product of activated knowledge about driving. Material product of an activated knowledge about driving. So what has Uber done? Uber is sitting in California, but it has a technology that helps to trigger knowledge on people who can drive all over the world, not just there in California, people who can drive anywhere in the world, and they activated. When they activated, that means that thing of activating knowledge is what really we are talking about as new economy. So your knowledge is activated about driving, and then you can go driving people in a city. You make something called a trip. So you get paid for the trip, and Uber also gets paid. So you can see this is a shared knowledge activation, a shared economy. So that is what we're looking for. Now, Uber is just one company, and one company triggering one type of knowledge. How much more knowledge is there to be triggered in the world? How much more knowledge? So, as a person, a business student, you need to understand how to structure your company so it can be triggering knowledge. How much more knowledge can be triggered in the world? That's what we have to ask ourselves. How much more knowledge? Come to Nairobi and we address that question. Now, since we are interested, our job, we have a lot of interest in health, is asking how do we trigger local knowledge anywhere in the world so that we can achieve health. And that will give us what's called universal health access. Okay. So when you come here in Nairobi, you come and work in a cooperative society of lubricants, and cooperative is going to host you. And the cooperative society of lubricants is an autonomous, it has an autonomous structure that enables you to push, it enables members of the cooperative who are in their chapter to push their own agenda. That means that they are ready for their knowledge to be triggered. Okay, so we're going to use those members of the cooperative. We're going to use those members of the cooperative to do what? To trigger interesting knowledge. So then members here of CSU have homogeneous membership with common problems. Why they're not homogeneous as human species, but they're homogeneous because they have common problems, including absent absence of access to market. People do not have market, so you will come and see how you can trigger a knowledge for access to market for whatever they are producing. There is they have little or no access to health services, and then of course the high cost of health services with extremely low quality. Okay, so you want to put those things at the back of your mind so that when you come to Nairobi, you're thinking, how do I act as a trigger of knowledge? How do I ignite? How do I act as a trigger of knowledge? Remember that the business of the future is the business that triggers knowledge that is existing on the ground. The business of the future is not the business that assumes that it has all the knowledge in its head. That model is out. That is centralized knowledge. We're talking about decentralized knowledge. And of course, we're very, very interested in decentralized knowledge, how you activate decentralized knowledge around the country. And we have done a lot of work with Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology to find out what is the problem, how is it so hard to activate knowledge in the communities. And we found that knowledge is usually activated with money. Say, for example, Uber has to help you get money. Knowledge is activated with money. Some of the complex knowledge, just like knowledge in biomedicine, is very difficult to activate with a few shillings or few dollars. It requires very, very highly structured activation mechanism. Okay, and so that's why we're here, and we want to see how this can work for in service of universal health access. Because if we activate knowledge in the communities, then what happens? We activate something called universal basic income. It means that people can actually earn money from wherever they are, wherever, whenever, whatever, because we have a system for activating knowledge that is going to be all over the world, like global. And that's why we want you to participate in this. We want to see how it is done. We want you to come and see how it is done. And there is no better place for you to experience this than in Africa. There is no better place for you to experience this than in Africa, because Africa is an open book. It's waiting to be activated, and of course, and we have a lot of people who would be interested in this program. But still, I want to ask the other Africans in the diaspora that to come and do this. Send your children, even come yourself, and see how we work on systems for activating knowledge in the communities. But we use the members of the cooperative society of lubricants. Members are aware of what goes on around them. With this awareness, the community is empowered. So, CSU, the Corporate Society of Lubricants, helps to build economic base for its members. And of course, awareness without economic empowerment, it only frustrates people. That's why we're expecting you to come. We look forward to having you as soon as possible. Start coming up, start signing up. Now, to make this work easily, we have created a list of key contacts. You can contact wherever you are in your country or in your city or in your county, wherever you are, you have access to someone who can help you sign up. You come to Kenya for 6 weeks. Of course, because this involves international travel, it's good you start early. There's things like visas to be worried about. What, of course, some countries to come to Kenya, they don't require visa. There are so many countries where a visa is required. So find out whether you need a visa. And then, of course, there is medical issues because we have things the government required medical certificates like yellow fever and stuff like that. Just get all that, of course, like malaria. We don't want you to come here and get sick, so get prepared early. Okay, get prepared early. It's going to be exciting. You'll be meeting people from all over the world. We're expecting people from Israel, South Korea, Japan. We're expecting people from the United Kingdom, USA, Canada, and even Latin American countries like Brazil. Okay, and of course, we are also expecting people from other African countries to come to Kenya, and we work on these things together. So we figure out this new economy so that we can understand what type of business organizations, what type of entrepreneurial activities are going to be successful in this 21st century. So if you would like to become a key contact to help recruit people, you can write to us or contact us by WhatsApp, or WhatsApp. We say that telephone number is plus 254 755 844 017, or you can write an email to info@ubrica.com. Say, I would like to be a key contact. Now, Ubricans, people who have been members of Ubrica and because of the investments, they have the top priority. So as a Ubrican, you're going to have top priority of working as a key contact. All key contacts are going to be known as Dial Ambassador, DIAL, Dial Ambassador, and Dial Ambassadors will help mobilize thousands of people to come to the country for their 6 weeks deep learning experience. Okay, this deep learning, deep immersion learning, deep immersion and action learning. And we call it action learning because it's participatory action learning. We talked about that yesterday. Now today, what I would like to do is give you the program again and go about the program very, very slowly so that you know why you want to be here. And the program itself is 6 weeks. We have said week one, it will be orientation. And during orientation, you will learn about, of course, this didactic. You sit down in a classroom right here at your Ubrica office. You sit down in a room, and we teach you about these things, and then we can go to the field the following week. So if the week 2 and week 3 are going to be weeks for weeks they're going to be weeks for field work. Field work. So week 1, orientation. Let me tell you what's going to learn during orientation. You will learn about universal basic income. And we say that universal basic income is income that people get because they are selling what they produce. If people do not sell what they produce, then they have no income. And if people don't have income, they cannot afford to pay for healthcare. Then if they cannot afford to pay for healthcare, they have no health access. See? So it turns out universal basic income is equals to universal health access. Let's put it the other way. Universal health access relies on universal basic income. And universal basic income means that people in the village are able to sell what they produce. If for people to sell what they produce in a global market, whatever they produce must be added value. They must be added value. Take for example this beautiful cup. It's a metallic cup, made in China with beautiful flowers. Yeah. So that is a value added product. So value addition requires knowledge. That's why we're talking about activation of knowledge. Value addition requires knowledge. And where does the knowledge reside? Knowledge resides in universities. So we are talking about now universal basic income. It requires people to be able to sell what they produce. And for them to sell what they produce, the product itself has to be competitive in the market, meaning that it has to have added value. Knowledge to add value comes from universities. So we're talking about how now the university comes in and helps people in the village. But over years in Kenya and maybe all the other African countries, knowledge in university stays in university and never comes out. Okay? And so because knowledge doesn't come out, it decays like bananas in a granary. So What we want is for us to learn together how knowledge can be taken out of university to the communities so people can add value to their produce. And that is what you call a place where knowledge goes. We found out that when knowledge sits in a university, it is very low entropy. Entropy means that the likelihood of knowledge from one person to collide with knowledge with another person and create something good. Because people in the university are in a particular department all know the same thing. Yeah, because that's what I call a department. They all know the same thing. Then their knowledge, even if it collides, it produces nothing. So that's a low entropy knowledge. If the knowledge now went out of the university and went down to the village, high entropy there we are talking about, very high entropy, because people in the village do not know what people in the university know. So that makes the knowledge in the university to diffuse very quickly in the village, and then it's used for adding value. And of course, for your knowledge to come out of the university, to go to the village, it requires a channel because everything requires a channel to travel. And this channel is called money. Money. We talked about money. Money. We have money types of fiat currency. We have cryptocurrency. And so we have calculated the channel capacity for transporting knowledge from the university to the village and found out that fiat currency in all African nations has zero capacity, or its capacity is equals to zero. So it is not surprising that money, fiat currency in universities in Africa has not produced any innovations. Yeah, fiat currency in Africa has not produced maybe let's say much has not produced much innovations because fiat currency in African nations has zero capacity to function as a channel of knowledge. And why does fiat currency have zero capacity? And this comes from Shannon work in 1948, where he gave us something called the Shannon's limit or the Shannon's capacity. He told us the capacity for a channel is equals to, wait for it, is equals to the bandwidth of that channel, which means like how much money can you put down and multiply it by log to base 2 of 1 plus signal over noise ratio. Now, what makes the fiat have renders the capacity for fiat currency zero or maybe just close to zero is because fiat currency has a lot of noise. And we can discuss more in details in the future about what is noise of money. Noise of money comes from three things. Money in the fiat today, the way fiat currency is created today, is by what? Fiat currency is created by credit, by loan. Now, if you're a student in the university, you cannot get a loan because to get a loan, you have to have money already. And that is the first stage of noise. You cannot get money to do your work or to put on in innovation because if you go to the bank and ask for a loan, they don't believe that you are worth getting money just because you have knowledge. You don't deserve money because you have knowledge. But you see, cryptocurrency is different. Cryptocurrency is not given out by loan; it's given out by acknowledgement. We can acknowledge knowledge in the university and now put money on it. The other source of noise is all the people involved in your fiat money. For example, if you receive Kenya shilling and your Kenya shilling is sent to the university, first of all, the university eats 15% out of your money because it's called administration fee. Because the money cannot be sent to you directly, it has to go through some channels. And those channels, they call them channels. They are just people who they are sitting down to eat your money. And of course, they make decisions for you. Although you knew exactly what to do, they come around and make a lot of decisions for you. See, now that is what stratifies the capacity of Kenya money, or let's say fiat currency, what is known as legal tender. It doesn't work for education. That is why we find that people with power, people with knowledge don't have power. And so because they don't have access to money. The money is with the people without knowledge outside the university, the politicians and the like, administrators, you name it. So during the first week, we're going to discuss those things so that you can actually appreciate the power of the cryptocurrency because cryptocurrency is noiseless money. Noiseless money is cryptocurrency is a noiseless channel. And when a channel is noiseless, it means that the signal itself becomes clear. What that knowledge in a university can travel through that channel, going down to the village unchanged. Okay, and that's called a low entropy channel. So what we're looking for is, and of course, what's going to happen in the future. The future is like this: businesses that are going to be successful are those that understand that we need a low entropy channel to transport high entropy knowledge. Eh? Low entropy channel, say like Ubicoin or cryptocurrency, noiseless channel that don't have all this credit issuing for this stuff, and people administration people, it's called administration sclerosis, people eating your money just because they, and of course politics, and of course the government, a lot of that stuff. They create noise in the channel and they reduce the capacity of the fiat currency to zero. This is why knowledge in the universities is not coming out, because the capacity we have at this point is called fiat currency, and then we have university just being there as some place known as ivory tower. Now cryptocurrency is so different because number one, it is noiseless and very powerful because the way it is issued specifically. Cryptocurrency is not issued as a loan. Cryptocurrency is issued by a computer program, and it is issued direct to the people. So that's why I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, get UBN, because that is where the heart is. When you're saying that we can achieve universal basic income using cryptocurrency, because we can actually, the cryptocurrency has so much power to transport knowledge from one side, from the university to the village. Okay, and so we are going to look at that and see how we have structured a system for what happens to the knowledge when it gets to the village. When knowledge arrives in the village, it has to go into a landing spot. That landing spot in the village, which is known as Produce Value Addition Center, or PVAC. The PVAC is a landing spot for knowledge. It's like a workshop for value addition for the local produce. And then those produce are packaged and then sent to the online market known as Soko Janja. So during orientation week 1, we shall show you how Soko Janja is working and how we register manufacturers, write descriptions, put the price of products that are now going to go to the World Wide Web. Now, next to the PVSC, we should have a medical clinic, because remember, this health project. This illustrates how the health is related to production. Let's say creation of value-added produce, and of course that's why we're talking about universal basic access. So when people sell their products on Soko Janja or produce on Soko Janja, then they have money, and of course then they can pay for what? They can pay for their health services. In fact, now with cryptocurrency, with the blockchain itself, they don't have to pay for health services directly, but every sale that happens on Soko Janja, I would like you to go to sokojanja.com, and see what is there. We have started recruiting people, and we work very closely with market partners. No, they're called market traders. Market Traders Association of Kenya, MTAK, Market Traders of Association of Kenya. Of course, I send you greetings from Mr. Kimani, from Kitengela, who is the Secretary General of Market Traders, and Lucy, and of course Mr. Mudemba. So, well, that's market traders. This means the first week, then you see, if the first week during orientation, we're going to orient you again. If I do a recap, the universal basic income, how it works and how it requires knowledge, and how that universal basic income requires knowledge from the university, and how knowledge requires a clear channel that makes clear signal. That channel is known as UBN. So before you even come here, you get your UBN. Start as you're preparing, go to the market and buy as many UBNs as you can. You can buy a lot of UBNs right now, and that is where you begin to experience this. Go to the market and buy UBN. Buy all the UBNs you can find in the market, so that when you come back, you come down to Kenya later this year, you have even your UBNs to show. because let's say your training begins now, and we're training you by buying your beer. Okay, then of course we shall of because when people shop online, there are other things to consider, which are things like the order fulfillment, the delivery of products. You'll experience how the logistics work in the emerging market. Let's see here in what is it? The works in the frontier market. I have got a cold, and so my nose is blocking sometimes, and I can't breathe as I'm talking. But that's not a problem. Then, yeah, on Saturday of week one, we go to the giraffe centers. We shall see these fantastic giraffes, Giraffe Camilo Padalis, and giraffe center is right few meters. Let's say it's not maybe 2 kilometers from us, and is a creation of the African Fund for Endangered Wildlife. They call this a few. It's a non-profit organization. The purpose is to educate Kenyan school children and youth on their country's wildlife. Now, may not be youth or school child, but you will learn about giraffes, and it's very, very beautiful. A giraffe is a fascinating animal because it has a neck that is longer than two people standing on each other's head. Okay, so how does it get the blood all the way to the brain? I don't know, but this is giraffes, and it's fascinating. Come, and of course, at the end of the first week, go to Giraffe Center. Then you take notes and say, how do those giraffe now relate to the entire scheme of things? How do animals factor in? So second week, we visit local markets, as I said yesterday, for in-depth participatory action learning. And in this way, in the markets, you go to maybe Kariako Market, you go to places called Kamukuji Market, and we go to all the markets. We start by markets in Nairobi. We visit Marigiti. Marigiti is Wakulima Market. Now, if you've not been to Nairobi, these are strange words, but you'll be learning them so much, and you will love people at the marketplace. And you see their struggles and their successes, and of course their sweat and how they work hard. This is a true economy at the crossroads. You see how they transport the goods, and of course produce in the market is really, really educational. And of course, this is not what you would find in the United States. Markets are so different. This is not what you'd find even in Germany or even in Japan. There is no market in any other countries out there in Europe or United States or Canada that look like the Kenyan markets. Okay, we are really in the frontier of the markets. It is like people have been talking about market for all these centuries. We haven't had anything, but of course, this is a new ground for innovation. You'll be surprised that how many new ideas you can get from such a market. This market is spread all over the country, and we have a very, very peculiar ideas about market. We think markets are for stupid people, so we call them soko mjinga. Mjinga is a Swahili word for stupid. I don't even know why we call it that. But you come, let's figure out together what it is. Do we need to continue the idea of ujinga, or should we innovate, create something about smart technologies like smart contracts, like public ledger, things like that, things like blockchain, cryptocurrencies. How do we introduce cryptocurrencies in these markets so they can work, but they can be more efficient? Right now, the efficiency in the market is near zero. It's almost like the efficiency of the fiat. There is so much loss in those markets called post-harvest losses. Food goes bad because there is no refrigeration, there is no storage mechanism. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of opportunities. So we'll visit those markets and see how these markets are going to evolve, because they are definitely going to evolve in very, very, very fast. They're going to move as soon as these markets move onto the World Wide Web. Then you can imagine that they're not going to be moving on the ground on something called a pushcart or mkokoteni. Kokoteni, you can Google that word, Swahili word for pushcart or pull carts. I don't know whether it's push or pull, but it's very, very exciting to see these markets and see the opportunities. Just opportunities are right, because there's a huge population. Each market is serving, just within the same market, one area, like in downtown Nairobi, there'll be about 100,000 people. Can you imagine? There's a huge population out there. So look at those markets. Talk to the talk to what? Talk to the people in the market. You want to talk to them in details. um, Show them that you care. We want to listen and understand what is going on in those markets. Make videos. With market traders, we are obtaining permissions to make videos, write descriptions about the produce and the products what people are making, write very good descriptions that are succinct, and then we can put those descriptions on Soko Janja and the pictures, and then we put a price. Then, of course, what happens, that action of doing that takes the market from the ground and it takes us to the World Wide Web. And the information about those market products will be moving at the speed of light. So we are talking about markets of darkness, like Soko Mjinga, to markets of light. Market of darkness to only you are able to do that and help out. So come out this way. Let's create markets of light. We come out from this economy of darkness. Economy of darkness. Economy of darkness. Say that 3 times so you understand that the frontier market, the frontier market is the economy of darkness. Let's get out of darkness, and then we do what? We get in light. And so what we expect you to do, come with a camera. You can come with your own cell phone camera, that's enough. Take nice photos, very clear pictures, and we put those pictures on the World Wide Web. Write good descriptions, and of course we give you opportunity to interview the people who have the products in the market, and post your videos on YouTube. Create your own YouTube channel. But of course, we have a channel known as the Immersion channel where we are broadcasting right now. You can add videos there if you do not have a channel. It's not a problem. And then that weekend, another fun weekend, we go to the Elephant Orphanage. Elephant Orphanage is also right next to us. It's like what? 1 kilometer on the east side. And this Elephant Orphanage is also known as David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust Elephant Nursery in Nairobi National Park. It provides safe haven to orphaned baby elephants rescued by the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. The nursery provides the first stage in hand rearing and development of milk dependent baby elephants. Once they graduate from nursery at the age of 2 to 3 years, 2 to 3 years is graduation, the elephants move to one of reintegration centers in Tsavo. Now, we shall go to Tsavo on the 6th week. So that is what's going on in the 2nd week. In the 3rd week, we shall do the same thing as we happened in the 2nd week, but we shall do the same thing as we did in the 2nd week. And because I've got blocked nose, sometimes I have to pause to breathe. So the 3rd week, we shall do a safari walk. Safari walk is a raised wooden boardwalk that allows uninterrupted views of animals. The safari walk is a showcase for Kenya's parks and reserves, allowing visitors to discover. So we shall do this safari walk in Nairobi National Park. It's a boardwalk that is raised, beautiful, so you can see down what the animals are doing. It's better. So now you can sample the rich wildlife. On the 4th week, we shall do something exciting for you, and this is going to be the desk work. You come here to Brika again office, and you upload all the photos you took into Soko Janja, and you write very nice descriptions. And that's what is going to be very good for the people. What you'll have done by doing that is take the economy on the ground into the cyberspace. And so this economy of darkness on the ground, darkness and mud and paved roads and hardships and pushcarts, mkokoteni, all that economy goes up into light. And it is traveling not at 10 kilometers an hour on a mkokoteni, or maybe 5, but at 300,000 kilometers per second on the light network, that is Soko Janja. And that will make a difference, of course, for those traders in the village and those traders who are trampled upon. They have a lot of problems because everybody tramples upon our traders, from the big shot government people to the little people on the ground. It's a culture, And that's why we call it ujinga business or stupidity, because we just enjoy doing stupid things. But this has come to an end. Now this time we do smart things. Okay. So during that time, week 5, at the end of the week 5, we shall visit the National Museum in Nairobi. I told you yesterday, National Museum is educational, and it's very educational way to spend a few hours in the city of Nairobi. The museum displays cultural diverse things and natural history exhibits, including more than 900 stuffed birds. Yet I don't want to steal your show. You come and we go to the National Museum. Okay, that's on the 5th week. Okay, then on the 6th week, what are we gonna be doing? Mhm. Yeah. Well, we hadn't said what to do on the 5th week. We're gonna be doing social media work after we post the things online. Then on the 5th week, we also you can do it outside or anywhere you want, but now post all those all those projects you have put online on Soko Janja to everyone in the world through social media. You can call it social media self-marketing or self-advertising. During the 5th week, we also expect you to develop a report. It doesn't matter whether you're a student or whether you're an entrepreneur, a business person, an employee somewhere. Come write a report. This report is going to be very helpful. We shall publish all those reports on the internet to show what's happening. If you're coming from a university, or maybe a school, college, we create a report. You create a report according to the requirements of your school. So we shall supervise that. We have competent people who could supervise even PhD level reports. Okay, and then we visit the Nairobi National Park, which is. But now the fun week, 6th week is all fun. Detailed safari. We may visit Masai Mara. We may visit Savo, Saburu, Hell's Gate. All these places, they are very, very, very beautiful places to come and see. So here we're talking about combining education with pleasure. Mhm. It's not all pleasure. It's a lot of knowledge, hard work. But hard work with no pleasure makes Jack a dull boy. Now, if your name is Jack, you're not going to be dull anymore. Come to Nairobi and be very excited. So, as we said yesterday, we are open to a 2 weeks crash course. The 2 weeks crash course is like a shrinkage of that 6 weeks course without all that fun. So you come here and take 2 weeks crash. We get orientation on week 1 and market visits during week 1, and then we do a weekend tour. And then the following week, what do? We we go out to the market, and of course, 2 days in the market, and then we write a report on the fourth. And of course, we write the report, post the documents online, and so it is. It's going to be intensive like that. It's very, very intensive. But if you say you don't have a whole 6 weeks to spend, which I would not understand why, you're getting this as a deep bargain. 6 weeks is good. Come here for 6 weeks. And if you want to prolong your stay, you're welcome. Kenya is very beautiful, and of course, very, very, very industrious young people, very innovative people in the country. And of course, we want you to participate in that. We want you to experience the energy of the nation, and of course, the government is very open to cryptocurrency. That is really good seeing something really good. Come to Kenya, enjoy with us, and learn new things and learn about the new economy. Of course, I want to sign off right now because my nose is giving me more problem, but I want to remind you the basics, like why we are here. Basics of Eureka project. We know that Eureka strives to solve 3 fundamental problems. So problem number 1 is lack of access to health services. Problem number 2 is poor quality of medical services. And problem number 3 is high cost of medical services in most of the world. Lack of health services occurs when people do not have money to go to the hospital. And lack of access also occurs when there are no hospitals to go to. Poor quality of medical services occur when good medical knowledge to deal with medical problems is scarce, and high cost of medical services in most of the world occurs when manufacturing of products that can be used to improve health is stifled. We solve the problem of access due to lack of money by creating Soko Janja, sokojanja.com. And That's why we're talking about Sokojanja, and that's where it's gonna be. Now, I would have to sign off right now. If you want more information, you can always write to us or send email info@jubica.com. And so right now I have to sign off, stop the program, and tell you thank you for being here. Goodbye, goodbye. I see there's a there's a lot of people online. Yeah, thank you so much, David Moturu. I really appreciate you guys. Of course, I wasn't looking at the chat, but this is really nice. Yes, crypto is the way to go, David. Appreciate, appreciate, appreciate. Thank you and good night. Good night. It's very dark in here. It's already like what? It's 8 p.m. No, 7:25. It's almost 8. And thank you for being here. And I look this way because I have a cold, but that's not a problem because the cold is there for 7 days with treatment and 1 week with treatment. So you expect me to be like this for a while. Have a good night and have a good day wherever you are. Thank you, everyone. Bye. And yes.